Hello and welcome. This is Windows Module 3. This entire module is going to be focused on how to navigate File Explorer. That is Windows File Viewer. It is how you will access, copy, paste, delete, edit, just generally access all the files that are stored on your computer. So we're going to take a quick look at how to navigate and use this. And just a quick heads up, I use Windows 11. I imagine many of you are using Windows 11. The PowerPoint slides that we are given for this course, until we update, those are for Windows 10. And File Explorer is very different on Windows 11. So we're just going to sort of wing it for this lecture. We're not going to use those PowerPoints just because I'm unable to do things the way that it says to do them in every case. So the first step is, how in the world do we get into File Explorer? And that is done one of several ways. If you have File Explorer or Documents or whatever as a desktop shortcut, I do not, then you can double click it. I don't have that, but what I do have is it is here on my taskbar. If you do not have it on your taskbar, you can press the Windows key and type Explorer, and it'll come up here. So let's press left click and open it up, and it'll begin at home. What we want to start on is this PC. And what this is going to do is this is going to give you a list of storage devices, like your hard drive, your removable storage like flash drives, any SSDs, M.2 drives. You don't need to know for this lecture what exactly those things are. Just understand that those are different types of storage device. So we have this little side-by-side grid of our storage devices. And the main one that we're focused on is Windows C. Anything that is your C drive. This is where your operating system is going to be stored. This is where you're going to put most of your stuff. Unless you jump between multiple machines like I do, in which case you might have one or more flash drives or some other removable media that you use to keep up with all your files on multiple devices. So we're going to open up our C drive, and that's going to take us to our root directory. This has pathways to a great many things. Let's just, for the fun of it, say you have Steam installed and you play PC games. How do we find our games for Steam? So here we have this, Program Files x86. There's also Program Files. This is usually where any applications you install are going to end up going. So to find Steam, we want to go to Program Files x86. Want to come down to Steam, double click that. Look for Steam apps, again, double click it. Come up, Common, and here's a list of all the games that you have installed. You see I have Beat Saber, Chill VR, Divinity, Doom, Fallout 4, a whole load of games because I am PC gamer. That is how I spend my free time. So let's go back to our C drive, and you can see I just have a ton of other things here. And the longer you use your device, the more stuff you install, the more stuff you save, the more you're just going to accumulate things in your C drive and other places. Next place you want to go to is Pictures. Obviously, this is where pictures are going to be saved. Again, if you're doing anything with PC gaming, this is where your screenshots are going to go most of the time. So let's do some messing about with pictures. And one thing I want to make clear before we go into this is your libraries. That is where you will find your pictures, your videos, your documents, your music. these are tied to your user, and by default in Windows 11, these are already placed in OneDrive to be synced. What that means is any files that you have in these directories that are contained inside of OneDrive, these are going to be, if you are connected to OneDrive's cloud service, they're going to be synchronized, they're going to be uploaded to OneDrive as a backup. So we're going to talk about how to copy and paste items from one place to another, and if you want to open things up in OneDrive, or save them to OneDrive for the purpose of backing them up, then this process is the same. You just want to copy and paste. So let's go into screenshots and have a look at these. For GZ Doom, I make mods in my spare time as one of the many hobbies I have. So these are just a few screenshots from a project I've been working on. And generally speaking, if you have a folder full of pictures, you get these nice previews with the file name, with the image itself scaled way down. It's just a nice, neat little grid. So let's look at something important. That is, you can see this .png next to all of these. That is your file extension. So when you have a file, you have its name. In this case, you have screenshot _doom _2023 February 26 _111502. That being the date and time it was saved. So the .png, this is your file extension. Does it affect the file in any meaningful way? No. What it does is it serves as a flag that communicates to Windows, hey, this is the kind of file we're dealing with, and when it is opened, we need to handle it in a specific way. In the case of PNGs, JPEGs, JFIF files, it's going to try to open them up in your photo viewer. If you do not see this file extension on your files, it is recommended that you enable this. So, how do we do that? On Windows 11, we select the file, we click View, want to come to this drop-down menu, it says Show, and you have this here, File Name Extensions. That is what you need in order to see the dot whatever. And it's important to have this opened up because it is a much faster reference for what kind of file you're dealing with than to look at the description or whatever else you might be looking at. This is much easier to understand and refer to quickly, because most of your file extensions are not going to be more than 3 or 4 letters long. Very easy to remember. You might also want to enable this, hidden files, or hidden items. This is also very helpful. Some items are going to be hidden in File Explorer, and it might benefit you to have this open. If I remember right, app data, which if you're more of an advanced user, is something you'll be digging into every so often. If I recall correctly, that is hidden. In fact, we can check that right now. So let's go to Windows, Users, Me, and we want to look for app data. And you can see that it's kind of dimmed out. That is how you know that you're dealing with a hidden folder. So let's get back to our pictures. In your slides, you'll see that it talks about displaying your pictures as a slideshow. That is not something you can do directly from Explorer in Windows 11, to my knowledge. I have looked multiple times and have not seen it. However, your photo viewer, let's open this up. If you look down at the bottom, you can see all your photos in a little slideshow setup. You can click through them, and when you're done, click the red X, and get out of it. I have no idea how you do the slideshow view in Windows 11. If one of you knows, fill us in, please. I would like to know. So, when you have a photo selected, you can right-click, and you bring up all these options. You're going to see some that are available to me that are not available to you. You probably don't have WinRAR. This is for compressing files, which we're going to do, but we're not going to do it using WinRAR. We're just going to use Windows built-in tools. But if you do a lot of file compression to store things or to transfer them or send them between people, then I recommend either WinRAR or 7-Zip as an application to make your life a little bit easier. But for the rest of us, we're not worried about it. So, I have a few other options here. Since this is a photo, we can rotate right or left. We could set it as our desktop background. Usually, at least in Windows 11, it's going to start with open and open with. Sometimes you may find open with is somewhere a little bit different. And as you can see, I've got a bunch of different options here. You could set your default program here, choose another app. Or if you choose open, it'll just use the default. Now, on Windows 11, as you can see, these options are pretty simple. It's not the full list. If you want the full list, click Show More Options. And here you see Open, Edit with Clipchamp, set as default, a whole bunch of other things. Again, you're going to see things that I have that you don't, like here, Open with Code. I don't know why you'd open a picture with code. Here's 7-Zip. You can scan with your antivirus of choice. And so on and so forth. We're not worried about all of these. So, next thing I want to talk about is how to copy and paste. So, if you want to just copy something, we select it. You have two options. You can either right-click, and in Windows 11, you have to either go here, or you can use these buttons. But you notice something. When we mouse over these buttons, copy, Control plus C. These are keyboard shortcuts that make your life way, way, way easier. We also have rename, which is F2. Share doesn't have one. Delete is the delete key. And we have cut, which is Control X. That removes the file from its original directory and puts it wherever you tell it to. So let's say we want to copy this diagram sort of picture here. You can use these buttons, or you can select it and do Control C. I prefer to use the keyboard shortcuts, but your project may require you to use the mouse. So that'd be using your right-click menu. I don't like it, but it's going to force you to do it one specific way. So let's paste it into my flash drive. And so we can either right-click, and up here we have Paste. If you go into Show More Options, you could see Paste right here. You also have Paste Shortcut. But we're just going to do Control plus V. And that will copy the image and paste it here. We're going to press the Delete key to get rid of this. And because it's on an external drive, it's going to be deleted forever. I'm going to talk about the recycle bin in just a moment. So let's use the back button to come back here. And instead of copying, we want to grab another picture or something a little bit less interesting. And we want to cut it. So Control X, and you can see it dims a little bit. Come here. I prefer to click an empty space before I paste it, just to feel safer about where it's going. So then we want to Control V, and just as before, here is our picture. And if we go back, we can see that that picture is no longer here because it has been moved here. Windows has a very strange way of cutting and pasting files. It doesn't copy the data over like it does when you copy and paste. Instead, what it does is it just rewrites the file path for that file. It's very clumsy, very awkward, but it's also very fast. So if you cut something and paste it to somewhere else in the same directory, it's not going to rewrite, or not the same directory, the same drive. So here I've cut and pasted it from my C drive to my E drive. Windows does have to write this. It has to write all that data. However, if I were to, say, cut all of this and then paste it into my root directory for some reason, don't recommend doing it because you generally just want this to be a collection of folders and whatever log files Windows puts in here. If I were to cut it from here, whoops, which is on my C drive, to somewhere else on my C drive, then it would take no time at all because it would just rewrite those directories. All right, so the next thing I want to briefly touch on, I mentioned that you can set things as your desktop background. And all you have to do, right-click, set as desktop background. It's as simple as that. You don't have to go poking through any weird menus or do any crazy settings. It is just 2 clicks. Right-click the picture, left-click the button. So the last thing I want to show you from this folder, and then we're going to do a few little quick wrap-up things, is compressing files. So let's hold our left click. We want to drag across all of these. And now we have all of them selected. Right click one of them. And we want to compress to zip file. This is going to take everything that we've selected, make a single file for all of it that we can then name, and it's going to have the .zip extension. Give it a moment. There it goes. So let's say let's call it screenshots. And you can see this has the WinRAR icon because that is the default for me to open zip files. By default, it'll just open it up in another Explorer window. So if we wanted to back this up to OneDrive, if you're on Windows 10, you would have to open this. As you can see, we're right back here. Go to screenshots, go to GZDoom. Hey, look where we are. This is not the case on Windows 10. On Windows 10, your desktop documents, pictures, these are all saved just to your local libraries. So if you want to save them to OneDrive, first off, you need to have OneDrive running on your computer, which by default it is. You need to be signed in, and all you would do is copy and paste into your OneDrive folder. And it's as easy as that. I do not want this, so I'm going to delete it. You notice that time it didn't prompt me for anything. It just said, okay, you want to delete it? Got you. Goes away. So what do we do if we want to permanently delete it? But wait a minute. This Maddox, isn't it already deleted? No. When you delete something from your C drive, it goes into the recycle bin. It is a trash storage. You can restore deleted files from there, or you can permanently delete them. So let's close this just so we have less clutter on screen. And we want to come here to the very top left. This is usually where you'll find your recycle bin shortcut. You see we have all this here. And we have a few different options in this screen. We have restore all items. This is going to effectively undelete everything here, and all of it's going to go into your directories where the files originally were. Or we can hit empty recycle bin. And it'll ask if you're sure, because this is a permanent and irreversible process, and we're pretty sure. It's as easy as that. The last thing I would like to show you... Oh, I am having a complete lapse at the moment. Pardon me. Is this here. Properties. This is where you can view all the nitty-gritty details of your files. So you can press Alt-Enter after selecting, or you can just right-click and select Properties. And this window is the same as it has been since like Windows XP. This has barely changed in 20 years. Maybe some new things have been added. And so you have your General tab. This is going to give you your file name, type, size, where it is, all that jazz. You have the Security tab. This is where you can apply some security settings. I generally don't. Details is a nice little table of just information about your file. It can be file resolution. It can be bit depth for images. It might be length for video files, or any number of things. You can also add more you can also add more details if you so please. All you have to do, I've never done this before, let's see. You could remove properties, property info. I could have sworn you could add more. What if we right-click? No? Okay, at least for this file, it's not allowing me to. But in the slides, you'll see that there are instructions for how to do this. Have I ever done that? Have I ever added things to the details table? Never in my life. And I've been using computers as a computer science major, as a techie, since like 2008, 2009. So that tells you about how useful that is. You may find a purpose for it. I have none. We have previous versions. You can restore older versions of the file. That's all you need to know. And when you're done inside of Properties, if you do not want to keep any potential changes you've made, you click Cancel. Otherwise, you can click Apply and then OK. We're just going to click Cancel. And so that is your Properties viewer. And that is going to do us for this lecture. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You know how to reach me via email. This is quite a bit different from what MindTap has given us from our textbook, but that is just because this is on a different operating system. We haven't updated just yet. So I hope all this is useful to you in some way. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, good luck on your assignments.